Hi, welcome to es201 Computer Techniques. This is an introduction and logistics lecture. I'm Roy Peterson. I'm the instructor for this course, and I just want to give you a quick overview of what to expect for the entire semester. First, please go to Blackboard and read through the syllabus. I'm going to highlight a couple of the important points here, but there's lots of important information on the syllabus. First, I want to focus on the meeting time. Because of COVID-19, I really want to go ahead and minimize any unnecessary mass meetings. And so I'm going to actually move all the lectures online. So no matter whether you're in section F01, F02, FX1, FX2, all the course material for the lecture is going to currently be online. We won't be meeting face-to-face in the classroom. We'll see how things progress, and maybe later in the semester we'll go back to some face-to-face classes. But for now, we'll do that. However, the labs, there is a face-to-face option, and so the lab times are still the same. They're 3-hour blocks, either Tuesday or Wednesday. And the way we're going to operate this is that the TA will be there for face-to-face in room 530 for the first hour and a half of the lab on both Tuesday and Wednesday, and in the second hour and a half, he's going to go back to his office and be on Zoom. So if you want to go ahead and have face-to-face interaction with someone during the lab, you can come see them in 5:30. If you feel safer to go ahead and just do it online, you can do that during the second half of the lab section. There's also enough space that regardless of whether you're signed up for the Tuesday or the Wednesday lab, you can actually attend either one. And in fact, as I'll mention here in a moment, if you can do the labs completely independently, you don't need to attend either of those two lab sections. So again, I'm trying to make this as accommodating for everybody in light of the current circumstances that we have. The other thing I want to point out here on this first page is that the textbook we're going to be using is a Zybook, and I'll be kind of giving you a brief introduction to that here in a minute. You can go ahead and get access to this by going through Blackboard, and so you want to go to Blackboard and go ahead and click on one of the assignments. I'll show you that here in just a moment. So again, kind of moving through some of the important parts on the syllabus, what you'll find out on the next page is there's going to be a listing of all the components of the class. And so there's these 5 components. Each week there's going to be videos that you need to watch. These are done in PlayPosit, which means they have embedded quizzes. So you'll watch the video, and then you'll go ahead and answer the quiz questions on that, and that will be part of your grade. Then when you go into the Zybook, there's going to be a couple different activities. There's those that are called participation activities. They're marked in orange. These are fairly straightforward reading comprehension type questions. And then there's called challenge activities where you're going to be completing programs that are a little bit more challenging. And then the third component are going to be the labs. And I show the colors so that you can go ahead and see these in the Zybook. And the labs are going to be the most challenging. You're going to actually be writing entire programs. And so you're sort of stepping your way up. And then there will also be some exams. We're going to have 2 exams, one covering MATLAB and one covering C++. And I'll talk about how we'll do those. We will also do those online, but there will be some synchronous video proctoring, and I'll talk about that more as the semester goes on. On the last page, you'll see just a calendar of what we're going to be discussing. It's broken down by the weeks, the 15 weeks of the semester. Those first weeks marked with the blue C, those are going to be covering C++. That in green, the A, is we're going to be talking about Arduino for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to have an exam that will cover both C++ and Arduino. The second half of the class, marked over here in the M's, is going to be MATLAB. So we're going to be talking about these 2 different languages. And then we're going to wrap up with a second exam that will be covering MATLAB. So if you go into Blackboard, as you'll see on the left-hand side, all the main course content areas, there's the syllabus, so please go ahead and read through that. If you go into the course content, this is where all the course content is going to be. You'll see it's broken down by weeks. You'll go into, for example, this will be week 1, and you'll see a listing of these assignments. So these are the participation activities in the Zybook and the challenge activities. If you click on this link, it will take you to Zybook. Make sure you access Zybook that way. That way we can go ahead and sync your Blackboard account with your Zybook account and make sure that you're getting credit for it. Both of these links actually will go ahead and take you to the same chapter of Zybook. I've just broken it out this way because there's different grades for the participation activities and challenge activities. If you complete all the activities just by clicking on the link the first time, that's fine. You'll see a progress bar within Zybook. Here are the 2 PlayPosit videos that we have for this week, Class 1 and Class 2. So if you go ahead and click on those links, it will go ahead and launch that video, and it will go ahead and record your quiz scores for that. One thing to mention, make sure you dedicate a good time to watch these, because the first time you take the quiz is going to be your final score, and you can't rewind the video. So don't kind of sit there like you're half paying attention, watching some YouTube videos and maybe some of the NBA playoffs, and not paying attention. So dedicate time to watching these just like you would if you were to come to a face-to-face class. And then here's the lab. This is also done in Zybook, and so that will be the last component. If you can complete the lab independently by yourself, you do not need to attend one of the lab sessions. But if you want help, we are here to give you help on that. Feel free to either come to see the TA in 5:30 or come into his Zoom class, and we'll provide the link for the Zoom labs on Blackboard in just a couple days. So if you go into Zybook, you'll see there's a listing of all the main chapters, and it goes through all the way down to chapters, I think about chapter 20. We'll cover chapters, about 20 chapters in here. The entire textbook is available there. And then if you were to go ahead and expand for a chapter, so for example, if I expand out chapter 1, you would see all these subsections. At the bottom here, you'll always see marked in green, that is the lab. The challenge activities and participation activities are all going to be entailed in all of these other components here. And so you should go ahead and go through this synchronously and section 1.1 and on to 1.2 and do each one of the chapters. You can see within Blackboard what chapters are going to be due each week. When you're in the Zybook, you'll see participation activities are marked in orange this way, and often it's just a matter of maybe typing a number in here, so it's just a little bit of comprehension of the topic that was just discussed. Sometimes they might be arranging some items. The challenge activities are marked in blue. They're a little bit more challenging. Often you'll see some section of a program, and maybe you need to add a line or two into this program. So just writing a little bit of code, so a little bit more challenging to do. And then the third part will be the labs, and you'll see those marked in green, and they're going to be entirely different. There's going to be a series of instructions at the top, and then you're going to go ahead and have more or less a blank template where you need to write your entire program in here. And then what you'll do is you can go ahead and click and run it and find out how well it's running. And then when you're ready to submit, you can click the submit mode, and then it will run it through a series of tests and make sure that it functions the way it does. You have multiple attempts. If your program doesn't work perfectly through the first time, you can actually try it up to 10 different times. So you'll see this button down here. It tells you go ahead and run the program. It will run it, and it will show you the output. And you'll need to make sure that it compiles and gives you the desired output. Up in the instructions, you'll see the way that the behavior should be. And then this little box down here is if there is user input, you would type it in there. Not all programs will have input. And again, that'll all be pretty clear in the instructions. All of the assignments for an entire week will always be due at midnight on Sunday, so the last night of Sunday. So all of week 1 will be due 7 days from now at midnight. And the same thing as we go through week 2, everything will be due. So all assignments are always due midnight on Sundays. So let me just move a little bit to talk about the course goals. There's 3 goals in ES201. One is just to understand a basic understanding of computer science. But again, it's just a basic. We're not a real comprehensive programming class. We want to make sure you have a working knowledgeable C++ and MATLAB. These are 2 programs that are used pretty commonly by engineers. They have different attributes, and so we're going to discuss both of them. And then the third goal is to go ahead and learn how to develop algorithmic approaches to solving problems. And so it's pretty important. Now, if you're looking at, for example, a computer science curriculum, usually in a computer science, you're going to spend 2 semesters just learning how to program. So that would be more or less gaining this first bullet item. And then there would be an entire class dealing with algorithm development. So this would be a 3-semester sequence. And that's why in here we're actually going to be putting this all into 1 semester, and that's why we're just doing a little bit of programming so that it's not too extensive, and then we'll do a little bit of algorithm development. But we're trying to get all of that kind of content into a single class, and that's what sets this course apart from a more traditional computer science class. Let me just talk a little bit about what we're going to do throughout this semester in order to accomplish those goals. One is to learn the computer science we'll be doing through Zybooks. But if you were looking at a traditional class, in order to test it, you would do things like maybe sorting numbers or replacing some words, kind of creating the MATLAB. And I'd like to get away from that a little bit, so I've spent a lot of time in this class to go ahead and make some hopefully more interesting programming assignments. So for example, we're going to be doing some encryption and decryption using something called a Feistel cipher. We'll actually be looking at Bitcoin, how Bitcoin is done in terms of hashing, and the fundamentals of blockchain technology. And you'll actually have a chance to go ahead and do some essentially Bitcoin mining. We'll actually be mining for something, a different prize, but you'll be able to doing that as well. We're going to be looking at doing some picture manipulation, just like you would do in Photoshop, rotating pictures, making them transparent, doing things like giving them the Van Gogh effect. all those kind of things that you might see inside a photo manipulation program. And so hopefully these are a little bit more interesting tools. Now it does make the class a little challenging, and so we will be stepping you through each one of these programs, and these will be often done in the lab assignments. And that's why we have these participation activities followed by challenge activities followed by the labs as we get more and more difficult. If you've had a lot of programming experience before this class, you might find the first couple chapters fairly straightforward and doing these participation activities fairly quickly. If you've had no programming experience, you'll actually may be a little challenged right here at the beginning, and that's okay. We're not going to be going too fast in the class, but we need to make sure we have everybody at the end of the class. All right, well, that's it for here. So go ahead and please go to Blackboard and get started on the first week assignment, and they're due in 7 days. All right, look forward to seeing you this semester. Bye.